My daily day's struggle. Maya often found herself trapped within a silent bubble, a world where her thoughts danced freely in her native tongue, but her voice faltered when English was needed. The daily day's struggle was real, a constant ache of missed opportunities and unspoken ideas. She yearned to truly participate in the vibrant global conversation that seemed to bypass her. The desire to learn English burned fiercely within her, a quiet fire fueled by dreams of travel, new friendships, and professional growth. But the path seemed incredibly daunting, a towering mountain range without a visible trail. How to learn English echoed in her mind daily, a persistent, unanswered question chipping away at her resolve. Her biggest hurdle, however, wasn't grammar rules or vocabulary lists. It was the terrifying thought of how to take first step for talking. The words would form perfectly in her head, eloquent and clear, but they dissolved into a jumbled mess before reaching her lips, often replaced by nervous smiles or awkward silence. This fear extended to every interaction. How to speak with people felt like an unsolvable riddle. Simple greetings became monumental tasks, and the idea of engaging in a full conversation was simply unthinkable. She imagined eyes judging her accent, her mistakes, and retreated further into her shell. The ultimate challenge was how to talk to anyone in English, whether a shopkeeper, a tourist, or a colleague. It felt like a secret club she couldn't join, a vibrant party happening just beyond her reach. She observed fluent speakers with a mix of admiration and deep frustration, wishing she possessed their effortless ease. Maya spent hours researching ways of learning English, sifting through countless articles, apps, and online courses. Each promised a breakthrough, but none seemed to address her fundamental fear of speaking. She tried memorizing phrases, listening to podcasts, but practical application remained a distant, intimidating goal. Then, one evening, she stumbled upon an old forum post emphasizing why reading is so important. It spoke not just of vocabulary, but of understanding sentence structure, natural phrasing, and building confidence through passive immersion. A tiny spark of hope flickered within her weary spirit. The post also mentioned learn English through stories. It suggested that narratives could make learning less like a chore and more like an adventure. The idea resonated with Maya's childhood passion for tales, a joy she had long forgotten in her pursuit of academic language acquisition. A simple, yet profound, piece of advice caught her eye: talk in English just 1 page per day. It wasn't about perfection or fluency overnight, but about consistent, manageable effort. 1 page of reading, 1 minute of talking, gradually building a habit. This felt achievable, a gentle invitation rather than a demanding command. Maya decided to embrace this new approach. She chose a simple children's book, feeling a slight blush of embarrassment but a stronger surge of determination. Her initial goal was modest: read 1 page aloud, just to herself, focusing on the sounds and rhythm, not perfection. The first few days were awkward. Her tongue felt heavy, her pronunciation clunky, and she stumbled over even the simplest words. Yet, she persisted, reminding herself of the 1 page per day mantra. Each reading session, though brief, felt like a tiny victory against her inner critic. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, a change began. The words on the page started to flow a little more smoothly. She found herself recognizing familiar patterns, anticipating endings, and understanding nuances she had previously missed. Reading became less of a struggle and more of a gentle exploration. Her vocabulary grew naturally, not through forced memorization, but through context within the stories. New words felt less like isolated definitions and more like vibrant parts of a living narrative. This organic growth was far more encouraging than any flashcard drill she had attempted before. The act of reading aloud also had an unexpected benefit. It started to train her mouth and brain for how to talk in English. The muscle memory of forming sounds and linking words began to develop, preparing her for the leap into actual conversation. It was a silent rehearsal. After a few weeks, Maya felt a subtle shift in her internal monologue. Instead of constantly translating thoughts from her native language, she found herself formulating simple sentences directly in English. This was a monumental step, a quiet revolution in her own mind. One sunny afternoon, while waiting for her coffee, a tourist dropped their map. Without thinking, Maya uttered, "Oh, let me help you." The words simply came out, a small, yet clear, burst of English. Her heart pounded, but a wave of exhilaration washed over her. The tourist smiled gratefully, and a brief, awkward, but successful exchange followed. Maya managed to give directions, even correcting herself once. It was imperfect, but it was real. This was her first true how to speak with people moment, feeling exhilaratingly terrifying. Emboldened by this small victory, Maya sought out more opportunities. She started practicing her one-page per day habit not just by reading, but by summarizing the story aloud to herself. This forced her to generate her own sentences, building confidence in expression. She began looking for casual encounters where she could try a few English phrases. The local bookstore, the park, even the queue at the grocery store became potential training grounds. Each small interaction chipped away at her long-standing fear of public speaking. There were still moments of intense self-consciousness, of course. Sometimes, her mind would go blank, or she'd stumble over a simple word. But now, instead of retreating entirely, she would take a deep breath, apologize, and try again, learning from each slip-up. The concept of learn English through stories truly transformed her approach. She moved from children's books to short stories, then to simplified novels. Each narrative was a world to explore, a new set of characters to understand, and a fresh opportunity to absorb language. She discovered that knowing the plot, even vaguely, helped her infer meanings of unknown words, making the reading process less frustrating. The emotional engagement with the characters and their journeys made the learning feel purposeful and deeply rewarding. Maya also started finding English audiobooks to accompany her reading. Listening while reading helped solidify pronunciation and intonation, making the language feel more alive and natural. It was a multisensory approach that accelerated her progress significantly. The Talk in English Just One Page Per Day motto expanded beyond just reading. It became about taking any small opportunity to speak, even if it was just describing her day to her reflection in the mirror, or narrating her actions as she cooked dinner. Her confidence continued to grow. She found herself initiating conversations, asking questions, and even offering opinions in English. The fear of making mistakes gradually diminished, replaced by a genuine curiosity to communicate and learn. One day, she found herself in a crowded cafe, needing to ask for directions. Instead of panicking, she approached a group of tourists, took a deep breath, and confidently asked, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the museum?" They responded kindly. The conversation flowed, not perfectly, but well enough. She understood their directions and even managed a short exchange about their travel plans. This was a true how to talk to anyone in English moment, a testament to her perseverance and new strategies. Maya realized that the way of learning English wasn't a single rigid path, but a dynamic, personal journey. It combined structured input with brave, small steps of output, always focusing on progress over perfection. Her personal method was evolving. The role of why reading is so important became undeniably clear. It had built her foundational understanding, equipped her with vocabulary, and silently prepared her brain for active communication. It was the quiet engine behind her speaking confidence. And how to talk in English was no longer a mystery. It was a muscle she had slowly but surely strengthened. It was about starting small, embracing mistakes, and celebrating every tiny step forward, no matter how insignificant it seemed initially. Her daily struggle had transformed into a daily joy of discovery. Each new word learned, each successful conversation, each page read, added another layer to her growing proficiency. The English language was no longer a barrier but a gateway. She often thought back to her initial anxiety about how to take first step for talking. It felt so distant now, a memory of a time when fear held her captive. Now, she actively sought out opportunities to use her English, hungry for interaction. How to speak with people had become a skill she practiced, rather than a problem she avoided. She understood that connection was more important than flawless grammar, and genuine effort was always appreciated by native speakers and learners alike. The idea of how to talk to anyone in English seemed less daunting now. While some conversations were still challenging, she approached them with a positive attitude, knowing that every interaction was a chance to learn and improve her communication skills. Maya even started mentoring a friend who was experiencing similar struggles. She shared her way of learning English journey, emphasizing the importance of consistency and the power of story-based learning. She became an inspiration. She encouraged her friend to embrace why reading is so important, starting with simple texts and gradually moving to more complex narratives. She explained how reading expands not just vocabulary, but also cultural understanding and natural phrasing. Learn English through stories was her go-to advice. She told tales of how engaging plots had kept her motivated, making the learning process feel exciting rather than tedious. Stories provided context, making new words stick effortlessly. And of course, she stressed talk in English just 1 page per day. It was about building a habit, she explained, a tiny commitment that accumulates into significant progress over time. Consistency was the true secret to unlocking fluency. Maya's transformation was not just about language acquisition, it was about personal growth. Her confidence in speaking English spilled over into other areas of her life, making her feel more empowered and capable in general. She realized that the biggest barrier was often her own self-doubt, not the complexity of the English language itself. Once she started taking those small, consistent steps, the language began to reveal its logic and beauty to her. The journey wasn't linear. There were still days when she felt frustrated or made embarrassing mistakes. But now, these were minor blips, not reasons to give up. She had built resilience and a powerful growth mindset. Her initial questions, how to learn English, how to take first step for talking, how to speak with people, now had answers, not theoretical ones, but practical, lived experiences that she could confidently share with others. She began to actively seek out opportunities to speak, volunteering for English-speaking tasks at work, joining online language exchange groups, and even initiating conversations with tourists in her city. The fear of being judged had largely dissipated. She understood that most people were kind and appreciative of the effort, and that mistakes were a natural and even necessary part of the learning process. Why reading is so important was a concept she now championed. She saw how deeply it had shaped her comprehension, her ability to formulate complex sentences, and her overall fluency. It was truly foundational. Learn English through stories remained her favorite method. She loved how stories transported her, making her forget she was even learning, while subtly embedding new linguistic patterns and expressions into her mind. And the Talk in English Just One Page Per Day philosophy was her daily anchor. It reminded her that even small, consistent actions lead to monumental results over time, a powerful lesson for any skill acquisition. Maya often reflected on the days when the English language felt like an insurmountable barrier. Now, it was a tool, a bridge, a key to unlock new friendships, cultures, and opportunities previously unimaginable. Her journey was a testament to the power of consistent, incremental effort and the profound impact of finding a learning method that genuinely resonated with her interests and personal learning style. She no longer felt the daily struggle, instead, she felt daily progress and excitement. The fear had given way to joy, and the silence to a vibrant chorus of connection and confident communication. Every morning, Maya would pick up a new book, or revisit a beloved story, knowing that each page contributed to her ever-growing fluency. It was a ritual that brought her immense satisfaction and continuous learning. She found that even on busy days, taking just 5 minutes to read a short passage aloud kept her momentum going. It wasn't about the quantity, but the consistent quality of engagement with the language itself. Her initial fear of how to take first step for talking had been replaced by a quiet confidence. She knew that every conversation, no matter how brief, was a chance to solidify her skills and build rapport. How to speak with people transformed from a terrifying challenge into an exciting opportunity. She genuinely enjoyed meeting new people and discovering their stories, using English as her connecting bridge. The daunting question of how to talk to anyone in English was now an empowering reality. She could navigate diverse situations, express complex ideas, and engage in meaningful dialogues with ease. Her personal way of learning English became her unique roadmap to success, a testament to tailoring methods to individual needs. She learned that self-awareness was crucial in this journey. Why reading is so important resonated deeply within her daily practice. She experienced firsthand how it built a robust internal dictionary and grammar system, making active speaking much smoother. How to talk in English was no longer a dream but a daily practice, filled with small triumphs. She celebrated every successfully formed sentence, every understood phrase, every new connection made. Learning English through stories continued to be her favorite, most effective method, a joyful pathway to fluency that felt less like study and more like an immersive adventure she never wanted to end.